And on top of that, man, it looks awesome. Like you're covered in fucking dragon scales, man. It's badass. Now, primarily, this is what most of your exterior armor is going to be made out of. The stuff with the highest defense shield, but it's also going to be the thickest, heaviest portion, and is less mobile. It's harder to shift and move, so I focused it mainly on vital points. Your chest, your forearms, bicep muscles, back, your helmet. Basically the most important parts of you. That do the heaviest lifting, so to speak. But you're still going to need defense in between that, but with a higher level of mobility. Something that won't affect your movement. So with that, I've gone with another combo. This time, chainmail. Accept your own variant on it. Once again, I don't think you're going to really understand what chainmail is, so I'll go ahead and explain it. Chainmail is essentially when they take steel and turn it into tiny little rings. And then they loop these tiny little rings around each other, forge them together, and eventually you end up with something akin to a metal fabric maybe. It's very hardy, strong, but it doesn't hold a solid shape. Usually they'd use it to make scale mail shirts that they would wear under their armor, or just as a source of armor itself. It's extraordinarily effective. But once again, your powers are awesome, dude. Because of the different states that you can make your liquid steel take, I've combined both the steel form and the gel form again. Instead of making solid steel rings, you're going to make what amounts to partial steel rings. Basically, imagine if you would, Ned said, grasping a hold of his chin and raising his hand a bit. I think he was trying to look majestic or intelligent while saying it. Picture a circle, perfectly round in every way. Then simply take an eraser and erase a small portion of the top and bottom of that circle. Here you're left with two partial circles with small gaps that stop them from being complete. Essentially, what we're going to do is fill that space with the liquid gel. This is normally where the armor would lace together, where one piece of chainmail would connect to the other, which was absolutely necessary in order for it to remain solid and strong. But with the liquid steel, the gel state is just as strong as the regular steel. It just works differently. It won't break under the same forces, so it's more flexible. By filling in these gaps with the liquid steel in its gel form, it adds even more flexibility to the scale mail than it already has. And it's already far more flexible than a plate or even the scale mail. Essentially, we'll use this to bridge the gap between the pieces of scale mail that form the primary defensive segments of your armor. We can form it to be tight-fitting, and with the flexibility of the gel, you'll be able to bend easily, even if it's wrapped tightly around you, and conforms exceptionally well. This is what we'll use for your elbows, your knees, which will give you all the mobility you need. No more clunky iron plates slowing you down. And as far as the basic armor itself, these facets alone are all that are needed for its construction. But I understand that you have abilities that you're going to need to use. And so I've enlaced what amount to attachment sections on your arms, legs, chest, even your back, places in the scale mail sections, and even your gauntlets that will effectively allow you to attach equipment, so to speak. Things that you're able to make on the fly. And as long as you include the simple mechanism that you use to attach them to the armor, you can effectively make them a part of the armor, but then still break them down later, without affecting the regular armor itself. It keeps its shape, but the attachments can be broken down, without affecting the whole and making you have to repeat the process of making it. And that's about all there is to it. he said, flipping to the last page, the finished set of armor, which I have to say looked impressive. Of course, I've made a way for you to quickly take on and off the suit. With your natural ability to control it telepathically, you shouldn't have any trouble. Normally, people had to have others help them into armor this complex, but with your abilities, putting it on should be a simple feat. Just a quick thought to force the right parts to connect or disconnect will allow you to get in and out of the armor very quickly. Ned, I said, looking up at him with a smile. Man, I am impressed. I'm talking seriously impressed, man. This right here is solid stuff. This is definitely the go-to. Your best work as of yet. You're right, Ned. I definitely appreciate having a superhero junkie as a friend. And yes, it is paying off, I said, picking up the book and beginning to flip around the pages, trying to get all of the information memorized. Ugh. But then again, this does just add one more tedious step. Dude, really? You gotta insult me right after I give this to you? Oh, I'm sorry, Ned. It's just that I'm gonna have to make this again. I mean, even after I make it the first time, I'm gonna have to make another set. Dude, why do you need two? Well, it's not that I need two. I gotta make another set for you, jackass. What? Ned said, with a shocked expression on his face. Dude, eventually you're gonna get a symbiote, which means you're gonna have powers. And even if you have those powers, that doesn't mean I'm gonna be fine with you just going out there, like all these other jack-offs do. I couldn't really call myself a friend if I wasn't willing to expend the resources to make sure that you had this kind of protection just like I do. You might not be able to manipulate it, but I'm sure that you can come up with some small variations that would allow this sort of protection for you without needing my abilities to put it on and take it off. Which means that once you do, I'm making one of these for you, man. That is, if you want to be my sidekick. I mean, you do want to be my sidekick, right, Ned? I said, looking up at him. In the moment, Ned's face was complete shock. He was absolutely blown away. His mouth was hanging open. His eyes were so wide I thought they might pop out of his skull. Dude, are you serious? Like, you want me as your sidekick? And you're gonna make me a suit of this armor? Yeah, that is what I said, Ned, I said, smiling up at him. Dude, you are just like the greatest friend who has ever existed. Your level of awesomeness cannot be matched. You are in the stratosphere, the ionosphere of mega awesome. You are the ruler of awesome land, and I kneel before you, Ned said, bending to a knee and bowing to me. Of course, Ned was just joking around. That was just Ned's style, and I can't say that I didn't get a kick out of it. After that, we both had a hearty laugh, and decided that before we got down to business making the armor, first thing first, we were getting some food. And just as I was thinking about, we ordered burgers. And I mean lots of them. Burgers, fries, milkshakes, and large sodas galore. Chicken bites, with ranch to dip 'em in. We stuffed our faces for a while, laughing and telling jokes back and forth. I asked Ned what kind of superhero name he was going to use. He simply told me that he'd have to figure it out once a symbiote chose him, and he had a superpower of his own. It had to fit, of course, and we just stayed like that for a while, having fun, laughing together, enjoying the good times while going over a few details of the suit. For example, a more interesting detail that he added into my helmet. He noted that I was packing around large amounts of liquid steel in my stomach, so once I had enough to make the armor, and still stow away more, I'd need to be able to get it out quickly without removing the armor or affecting it. So Ned added in a wicked-looking, two-sided helmet. The top segment, of course, was the solid with chainmail, or not chainmail, but scale mail, and armor plate, with gel padding, of course. But there was actually a special separated attachment section for the jaw of the mask, meaning I could just focus a little and it would swing open, like some sort of monstrous creature opening its mouth. Ned even artistically included very large teeth as an aesthetic part of the armor, which he just thought looked cool, but said that I didn't actually need. And I told him hell no, those are going in. So effectively, once I get out there, I'm going to be able to swing my metal jaw open with my razor-sharp metal teeth and puke out massive streams of liquid metal. That is gonna be freaking awesome. Like, I can't wait to see it. I think I might have to test it in the mirror once the armor's done.